welcome back to another episode of A Pinch of Everything. Today, we decided to take a break from doing the thing that we're supposed to be doing and instead geek out and talk about...
Hey everybody, we watched the live action One Piece. Let's fucking do this!
Yes, because we were so excited. We stayed up until like 1 a.m. because I had to wait for David to come back from work, and we didn't start until like, I don't know, it was like 3 or something, because then we had to have lunch, and then David had to take a break because he had to play D&D with his friends. Anyway, it took forever, but we finally did binge the whole thing
in one day,
and we are ready to geek out about it. And we actually want to geek out with you guys too, because we really don't have that many friends that also like
what do
One
you mean
Piece.
we?
Well,
okay, now I have one friend, but like I've mentioned him once before. He just skims the fandom every once in a while. He knows certain characters and their names and what have you, but like other than that, no.
Would you call him like a casual fan?
No, because a casual fan either watches the show or reads the manga. This motherfucker doesn't do any of that. He gets all of his info from TikTok.
Okay, so not really a fan. Thinking about becoming a fan, maybe? Yeah, anyway, so I geeked out a lot, and I wrote like a bunch of notes that I want to go through. But first, I just wanted to have like an overall sort of like opinion. Okay, so hold on. Before we get started on that, we forgot to introduce ourselves. Oh, yeah, so my name is Elizabeth from Psychology for Geeks, and this is David, my brother. Say hi, David.
Hi, David.
And yeah, okay, now that that's out of the way, so I saw a couple of like reviews for like the whole series, the whole episodes. I saw like 2 of them, and I didn't really like them because it was like very nitpicky. They were like, oh, that one line, like from that one, like 2-second scene sucked, or like, oh, the CGI again for like 2 seconds was not the greatest, and then they showed like the scene of it, and I was like, it looked pretty good to me, so I don't know what they were complaining about. I mean, for the most part, they said that they really liked it, but that they were like, part of what like really got me is that they were like, why the Scottish accent? And I was like, I freaking love the Scottish accent. I don't know what he's talking about. And one of the other things was like, so why didn't they just make the whole series like, or certain parts of like the series like a bit more mysterious? So, like, you know, for the people that don't really know anything, like it will be a great introduction to the world of One Piece. And then like not even 2 seconds later, they were like, why did they make this person like this? Like, what's the Luffy's grandpa? What's his name again?
Carp.
Yeah, they were like, why'd they make him seem like he couldn't catch Luffy, even though we know? And I'm like, do we know that? Because I didn't freaking know that was his grandfather, okay? Because I just finished Water 7, so Garp hasn't been introduced, so I was like, no, we didn't know that, okay?
She's in Water 7 Part 2, so Annie's lobby, and she hasn't been to post Water 7 yet. So that was the thing. That was her first introduction, and not gonna lie, for a first introduction to Garp, normally I would have been like, no, I like the introduction in the manga, but her reaction, she was like blown away. So at that point, it stops being what I want, and if that introduction was good for her, then it's a good fucking introduction.
Because I was like, I just remember telling you, like, I think I, like, left the room because I needed water or, like, snack or something. I can't remember. And then I came back, and David was about to play it, and I was like, no, hold on. I need, like, a minute to, like, process this because I didn't know this, okay? I need time. And then we could continue watching. But, yeah, anyway, so, David, that being said, you know, that the review that I really did like was from Murphy Napier. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but that's like the first video that I seen of her, and it was really cool because I don't know, maybe it's just like she exudes the same vibe that I really like.
She's an optimistic storyteller.
Oh my god, yeah.
Similar
Okay.
to how you like watching or reading stories or having like listening to podcasts. You kind of like that type of vibe in person. And yeah, I agree. She is a really good content creator.
Yeah, I mean, I just because like she only did like the one that I watched was like for the first 2 episodes, but she was just basically like geeking out about her favorite parts, and every now and then she will throw in a comment of like this wasn't the best for her or just in general. And then I was like, yeah, that's how I like reviews to be. But like most of the reviews are like everything sucked and like why did they make this and blah 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 blah. Like I just
Yeah, it becomes more whiny and not petulant, but like they start complaining about the most insignificant things, not taking into account both of their rose tinted glasses and IRL constrictions. Yeah, sure, Luffy's CGI stretching looks weird in certain places, but it's also CGI stretching for a show on Netflix, not a movie. They have money, yeah, sure, but they don't have that much money. Come on.
yeah, what he said. Yeah, so anyway, so like I guess like when I say review, our reviews in my head are more like let me tell you about all my favorite parts so we can geek out together and like yeah, talk about that. Every now and then I will come across like or I will say something like why does Sanji have a curly eyebrow? Like that's so dumb. I hate it and please don't point it out. Oh, I just read that one part where he was like so mad like fighting that like ramen guy and he kept pointing it out and Sanji got so mad and I was like yeah bro and I was like well dream it like do something with freaking eyebrow bro anyway yeah but like
It's
just
genetic, man.
is it though
Yeah, he has it, I think.
anyway so like it's more like a personal thing for me when I don't like something anyway so David what are your general thoughts about this then later on we'll go like note by note of what I wrote.
My general thoughts about this is that for an someone who has been a part of the fandom for a very long time, if you take it seriously, you're not gonna have a very fun time. But if you take it for what it is, which is just a fun, goofy show that has more the vibe of One Piece rather than the hyper accurate storytelling of One Piece, it's a really good introduction. It's a really good story. There are some moments here and there that, yeah, sure, I can agree with some of some complaints where why did they change this way? Why did they move some stuff over here? But all in all, I understand why they did what they did, and it wasn't such an egregious change that I would hate it. But it's understandable, and I'm like, okay, completely and utter time constraints. I understand that they couldn't just do a bunch of stuff here and there. By the end of it, I fucking loved it. It was such a good show. It had so much heart, and the actors, oh my god.
Yeah, same. So okay, so I kind of refused to watch the trailer. I seen some pictures of like the actors in their costumes and stuff like on Instagram, but that was sort of like the extent of my knowledge of the show, right? Before I started watching it. And like I said, I have never seen any of them. Wait, hold on. I watched one movie with you, right? But that was about it. One of the animated movies, the one where they kind of I forgot what it's called. Remember?
Yeah, it was Tales of the East Blue or something like that. But it just encompassed a lot of the East Blue saga into one small movie.
Yeah, so like that's pretty much like all I've seen, and like I said earlier, like I've only up to Water 7, so I don't know a lot of the like the characters or whatever. So I think for me it was like a really great experience that I watched it with David, who's like an OG fan, because he was like, oh, that's like so and so when he was young, and I was like, how do you freaking know? Like they don't even look anything like in the anime or the manga. Like they're like a person, and like how are you supposed to know that?
Listen, when you see a small child with platinum blonde hair to the point where it's almost white, you know that's Smoker.
Do you? Because
Yeah, I did.
Anyway, so like yeah, a lot of the characters I kind of like forgot who they were, or like I wasn't as familiar with them, because again, like I kind of like get the story, but a lot of the side characters, if they're not there the whole time, my brain just eliminates all that information, especially when it comes to names. So every now and then, even when I was writing notes and watching the show at the same time, I was like, hey David, what's the name of that one little cute reindeer? Because I couldn't freaking remember the name of Chopper.
Tony Chopper, okay? It's
Yeah.
your boy.
So I don't know. That's just my brain, like not remembering a bunch of everything that needs to know. Yeah. So like, but I don't know. I thought it was great. The one thing though that I thought was kind of like weird is that a lot of their outfits and stuff looked really really new when they were supposed to be like super old or whatever. But like again, it's like a minor detail that's not gonna like break the series for me. So I really enjoyed it. I was really happy and I was like super hyped. And then David was so like, I want to go to sleep now. It was like 2 a.m. and I was like, but David, we need to talk about this.
And now we're here.
Yeah. Anyway,
So let's start with episode 1.
yay. I didn't do it by episodes. I just drove
Oh my god.
Sorry. I just like some of the, because like halfway through the episode I was like, wait, that one scene over there, I was like, yeah, that was cool. And then I wrote down a note. So like it's not in order or anything like that. It's just, I don't know, it's just gonna be us randomly clicking at about things like sections of the series.
I'm going to try to do it from 1 to 8, but if I fail, know that I tried. So let's start with episode 1. We get to see Luffy talking to a seagull and trying to recruit said seagull into his crew. Isn't that fucking hilarious?
Well, like it was okay. No. Can we backtrack a little bit and talk about how cool the seagull was? Because I was like, I wanted as a pet now. Like he had like a little tiny hat, and he was dressed, and he was carrying like mail. It was so
Dude.
cute.
The News Coos, that's what they're named.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because they are hired by I can't really say his name yet. Well, I can,
Is he
but
like a navy person or like a pirate?
no, a
That's-
third party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's basically literally the news. It's a separate company ran by a stork. Is he a stork? No, I don't fucking remember what he is. Albatross. Yeah, he's an albatross.
I don't even know what that is. Like
It's a bird.
Okay.
Anyways.
Well, I mean, yes.
He writes the news and he also puts the names on the bounties, and he put whatever name the government told him to put there. So when he sends out the news, anyone that wants it or what have you will just call one of those birds down, get one of the papers, and pay them like however many berries. And the news crew will take it, put it in a little pouch, and then fly away.
That's so cute. They were just so cute. They were so adorable. And
Dude, the Denden Mushis, not gonna lie, they looked weird, and I liked it.
the what?
The snail phones.
Oh, I know. They look kind of gross, but also kind of like what I picture them what they were going to look like. And I really like the ones. I don't know if this is also like in the manga. Maybe I didn't really pay attention, or like I'm not at that part. But like the like Bluetooth ones that they had, like the tiny little ones. I was like, oh, those are cute.
I liked when it was coughing.
When he was
Oh my
drowning, yeah.
God.
The little it's so cute, yeah. Okay, wait, backtrack. The stretch bit, when
Yeah.
he was stretching, I thought he was done pretty well. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, I didn't really have that many complaints. There were some moments here and there where the lighting made it really hard for whoever was doing the VFXs to kind of like make it look very convincing. But other than that, like, absolutely no complaints. It looked really good. There was one complaint, or not a complaint, like a point brought up by Rogers Base, who's another content creator. He brought out the idea that Luffy is stretching all the time because that is his character. He is free to do as he pleases, and that includes using his devil fruit power. But also at the same time, I understand why the Netflix series didn't just let him stretch all the time, because that would be a lot of money.
well, I think they did it like, because I not realized just thinking back that there were some scenes where like you knew he was stretching, but the camera angle was in such a way where you didn't really see it, or you saw it out of the corner of your eye kind of thing. So it wasn't like in focus. But I think like just overall they did a really good job with the stretchiness.
They did okay, now that you bring that up, they did a bunch of camera tricks that, like you said, basically gave the illusion of him doing a bunch of stretching, even though, again, he wasn't really stretching that much to begin with. But no, yeah, like that felt seamless almost.
Well, because I don't know, but maybe it's just in the place where I'm at in the manga, but he doesn't seem to be like stretching all the time. I mean, yeah, when he's fighting, yes, for sure. But like just on the regular, not really.
When they're walking about, sometimes no. But when he's in the Mary and there's basically nothing to do, he's either fucking around or he's stretching.
I mean, it might be one of those things where it's kind of like in the background and like my brain just kind of breezes through it because I'm like,
Yeah,
I want to
it's
know.
kind of
the
like
story.
in one tiny panel and then like you move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like it's still there for those that have the keen eye. There is something that I really want to talk about because I'm pretty sure I heard it, and this is me breaking the whole hey guys, let's go from episode 1 to episode 2, so on and so forth. Because now we're at Baratie Sanji's backstory, okay? Something that I wanted to say. During Sanji's backstory, I didn't know if I was paying attention correctly or if I zoned out and I just my mind kind of made this up. But for those that haven't gone there yet, or if you have gone there and you want to like check this out to see if it really is for real, take a listen. Like put your ear to work during the times where Sanji, the little kid Sanji, is kind of like waiting in the island. Because I swear to God, you hear the moment where Zeph is chopping off his leg.
Really?
You hear thumping, muffled
No.
thumping from the background.
Okay.
I swear to
didn't
God,
notice
I
that.
heard that. Like, if for anyone that is interested to like fact check this on me, dude, go right ahead, because I swear that I heard that, and if they did do that, that is so fucking cool. Morbid, but cool.
Now I want to go back and rewatch it to see if I can like notice
Listen
it.
to it, yeah.
Wait, backtracking back to the beginning. Like one of the things that I kind of like was talking about was like, yeah, I think they did a very good job at it, like melding the whole it's real people but it's still anime kind of like together. I think they did a really good job, but my brain was still kind of like, oh, it's really weird to see like some of the characters that were like just like stupidly massive in the manga be like
regular human size,
and I was like,
yeah.
that's weird, I don't buy it. Like he's not as scary as in the manga, but like obviously like you're not gonna have like a 10-foot person, you know, be all like that, because then that would be like extra weird, I feel like. But yeah, like overall I really liked, because there were some scenes where it was like, oh, it looks more realistic, right? Like more kind of like, this is our world, I believe it, that this is a part of our world, right? But there were parts where they were like, the costumes are kind of weird, but somehow it worked, it fit into the world, like everything.
They're
was just so
weird
cool.
enough, but not overly weird. You know?
Yeah. So I really like that. Oh, okay. So, man. Okay, so I started. Wait, for those of you who didn't know, David and I are also doing like videos where we are sort of talking about, or like me reacting to each arc as I read them. So if you haven't seen those episodes, okay, if this is like the first one that you're listening to, I kind of started the series being like, David, why'd you like Zoro? He's so dumb. He's just like manly man. And like, but then later I realized, I was like, oh, because I'm a really like a quotes person, right? If I see a really nice quote, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I love it. And like pretty much every single quote that I read, it's always Zoro. And I'm like, no.
Now you know. Now you know.
So the first quote we're going to talk about is a quote that Zoro said. He said, oh, because I think I forgot who asked him, but somebody was like, do you believe in Luffy? Like he was like a freaking loser. It was like at the very beginning. I think it might have been like the first episode. And then someone was like, I don't have to. He believes in himself. And I was like, mind blown. Like, yeah, exactly. Like, because when you see someone who has a healthy level of self-esteem, you're like, bro or sis, yes, do that. And then we're like, you're so happy hanging out with them, because, you know, they don't really care. They're just so chill. That's why I like hanging out with David, because a lot of the times my anxious brain is like overreacting to a lot of like little things everywhere. And then David's like, but chill. And then I was like, wait, I could just chill and like not care about these things. What? Like it's like mind blown to my anxious brain, where it's like, what? You could do that?
Yeah, when you have somebody else's perspective, 9 out of 10 times you get a wisdom point. That's right. You can spend these wisdom. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna cut that shit up. I don't know if I'll keep that in there.
Yeah, so I really like that, where Zoro was like, yes, Luffy has enough confidence in himself that he was also giving him confidence in Luffy, you know, like it was so much confidence to pass around, because not only was Luffy so confident that yes, he's gonna be king of the pirates, but he was also confident that other people were gonna achieve their dreams. because like, oh, okay, I am at the one part where like Sora just cut the train in half, and I was like, what? But I'm like so far into the fandom that I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like,
I love the part where Luffy's like, Zoro, and then Zoro's like, yeah, it's in our way. Cut it, like, get rid of it. And then Zoro's like, all right. And then everybody else is like, are you kidding me? He just said, yeah.
exactly. And I think that like this is why I like this quote so much, because it really reflects the relationship where like Luffy has so much like belief not only in himself but in his friends, that it gives his friends like extra strength to do things that are like not possible, like cut a hole in like a wave, which was, I thought was dumb, but somehow Zoro cutting the train in half does make sense. I don't know. This fandom, really, I'm losing my mind, you guys.
One of us. One of us. One of us.
Oh, okay. So the other thing that I really liked, or maybe I didn't really notice in the manga, or it's been a while. I don't know. Like again, my brain forgets a lot of things. But Buggy, is that his name? I'm saying it right?
Yeah, Buggy.
Oh yeah, Buggy
Boogie.
the clown.
Booger.
Boogie. Oh, okay, whatever.
Butter.
The clown guy, he was basically just like, he had like whole obviously evil villain spiel, and at the end he said like, I just want to be seen, man. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, like, don't we all just want to be seen and like heard, you know? Like, I totally get it, but like, he went off the rails, dude. That's a little too much to be in the spotlight, man.
Yeah, he's also kind of crazy because his entire motif is clown. The best part is still the fact that his nose actually kind of looks like a very big inflated nose.
But it's his real nose, right?
It's
Like
his
the
real
whole
nose.
time I was like, wait, is
It-
his real nose?
It
And
has
then,
always been a real nose.
oh dang, okay.
He just ran with it. He's still sensitive about it. So if you bring it up, make sure, like, you don't.
I thought it was just so funny how he was like, what did you say? And then Luffy was saying nose, like, you know something. And then he's like, you said nose. And then later on he went on off the spiel and then he said nose. And I was like, oh, now it's in my head.
No, it's stuck in my head.
Yeah, it's I don't know, like the guy, I forgot names, are not my thing. But the actor who portrayed him, I thought he did such a good job.
He really did a good job portraying Buggy.
He did. You know who also did a really good job? The guy who portrayed Kobe. So like in the because David was the one that was like, you gotta pay attention to the cover art. So I started paying attention to the cover art, and like that's how I found out a lot about like Kobe's backstory, because he's not represented as much as he in the manga as he was in the series, which I actually really did like that he showed it, because they sort of like really worked on his character, and I was like, I don't know, I really liked it. Yeah, but the actor was so good. Okay, and that I hit the mic, sorry. That's one of the things that
Don't do that.
wait, what's her name again? The reviewer lady,
Murphy?
Yeah, she mentioned that Iñaki, the guy who plays Luffy, he good acting. There were some times where he would kind of like start acting and then stop, that you kind of noticed it. I didn't really notice it as much, but I did notice that the guy who was playing Kobe, he's just like micro expressions were so good that you could just like, you bought it that he was like nervous about something or scared, but it wasn't like overacted. It was just so good. Like, he was just so good at it.
Yeah, no, like, he fucking pulled it off. All that experience right there, and you can tell.
Yeah. Oh, another quote, you guys. This time it's not by Zoro, it's by Luffy. And I actually made a post about this because I loved it so much. He just kept repeating, I'm a different kind of pirate, and I love that. Is that like something that happens either in the anime or in the manga, like later on, maybe?
Honestly, this is one of those things where if it did happen, I can't remember it. And if it didn't, then obviously I wouldn't remember. But I don't think that he did say that more than like a handful of times. But in here, every time it's questioned or somebody questions him about it, he's like, no, I'm a different kind of pirate.
And
I'm not like you're the same type of pirate that you've seen left, right, and center. I'm not that kind of pirate. I'm a different one.
But he also, like, when people were like, no, pirates are scary, especially Zoro was like, nothing's lame. But then Luffy was like, wait, who said the pirates have to be scary? And I was like, yeah, exactly. Like, why couldn't they just be fun and adventurous?
I like their expressions, because when he said that, like immediately after, Nami and Zoro kind of look at each other like, well, damn, I didn't think about that.
It was like, oh yeah, he's got a point. Yeah. I love that. Oh, again, this is something that we have talked about in some of our other previous recordings. Top-down leadership, you could really see it again, because especially in like Shanks is like one of like, is it so fun to just say Shanks? Like you could see it in his crew, because he was like a very sort of like laid back and fun captain. And you could see like his crew was exactly the same, but whenever he was needed, he turned on the captain mode, and so did his crew, and so again, top down leadership. And then you can see it again too, like maybe late, not so much at the beginning, because there was a couple of instances where the crew was still kind of getting to like know each other and getting used to each other. But later on, like different arcs, you can see it where like Luffy is very much like adventure and doing whatever he wants and having lots of fun, and the rest of the crew is basically just also doing that. And so maybe Nami was like trying so hard to take care of them, and the boys are so dumb that she's having a hard time doing it. So I really feel for her. But yeah, and then you can also see it in what's the guy with the metal jaw?
Morgan, Accent Morgan. This is your boy, Axie Maxie Morgan.
Yeah, him. He was kind of like, I guess, powerful but dumb, and you can see it in like the rest of the people that like, especially his son was weird and like not strong, but like believe way too much in himself when he shouldn't have, because his skills did not match.
Scene when he takes Zoro's sword and he's like in his room butt naked playing around with the fucking sword.
When he's like putting the sword like right in front of like a portrait of himself, like just to see like how cool it looked, and then he goes to the mirror, like it was like, yeah, I hate this guy. But then at the end, when he turns to Kobe and he's like, "Oh, my friends," or whatever, like it was such like a character like growth moment that I loved it, and I was like, I want to see more of them. He suddenly makes like a spin-off series or just the two of them. I will watch it.
I think you and the rest of the fandom will go like, "Hey, do One Piece all over again, but Kobe's perspective."
Yeah, that would be like so cool. I mean, like we kind of got to see that in the series because it was a lot more of him. But and also I really like sort of like the similarities and differences between Kobe and Luffy, where it was kind of like a lot of like parallels, or they were like what negatives of each other kind of, but it was still kind of like this weird friendship where it was like we're on opposite sides but we respect each other, and you go and be a good pirate, I'm gonna be a good navy man, and we're gonna like fight against each other. I'm gonna try to arrest you and you're gonna try to flee from me, but we're still gonna have a good relationship. It's like so weird, but I dig it.
We do what our jobs tell us to do, but we're gonna do it our way. We're gonna be a different kind of.
Like I think it's not only was the actor like so good at playing Kobe, but at the end of the series I was like, you go Kobe, you become the best Navy person and you be in charge and you change the Navy for good.
Here's the thing. What I find most interesting about you loving Kobe right now is the fact when we've watched the first episode, and as we were watching the first episode, Kobe came up and you're like, oh, it's that wimpy kid? I don't like him.
Because he was so wimpy. He was extra wimpy in the manga, but like in here, I mean, he was kind of wimpy, and like I guess like acting was really good, but he grew on me like a fungus. No. He grew on me like a beautiful flower. You know who grew on me like a fungus? Helmipo. That's who grew on me like a fungus. Because I was like, you're so weird. Why are you this way? And then later on, I was like, I like you. Yeah, you're cool. You're pretty cool.
So you know what? I dig it. All right, I'll not hate you right now.
At the end of the series, I kind of like fully understood, because there was that one moment where Luffy was like, I don't know, like the same way I knew that Nami was gonna be a good crew, like part of the crew. Like he just didn't know how to say it, but he had this feeling about each one of them, and he's like, yeah, I know we're gonna be good together. That's kind of like, and he would just immediately go and be like, hey, you want to be part of my crew? Like that's how I felt about Helmipo. Like at the end, I was like, yeah, you're good. Actually, you want to be part of my crew? Like that's how I felt.
I wouldn't go that far.
I didn't say he was gonna be part of the main crew, just in the background. But good laugh every now and then.
Here's the thing that I want to get off my chest, okay? I firmly believe that Oda is telling a story, or at least a side of a story that he couldn't get, or he didn't get to tell when he was creating the beginning of his manga. Because remember, he wanted to stop, or he thought that the story was going to end at the Seven Warlords, that it was going to end there somewhere. But it kept going, and he kept going. And obviously, we've been here for like 25 years, and he might have some regrets from the beginning of like the manga. If he could go back and change some stuff, he would change it like that. So when I see the way he handled Kobe and the Marines and his grandpa, and maybe like some other characters like Mihawk and Shanks, I'm like, okay, if you had the chance to go back and rewrite your story, is this where you would want to portray at some point?
Bro, he can, because okay, so when I think it was like we were episode 3 or something, and I was like, there has to be a sequel to this, right? And I was like, are they gonna do it arc by arc? Because that would be so cool, and I'm so here for it. And then they was like, nah, I don't think so, whatever. He's like being his pessimistic self, and I was feeling, no, they have to, because I want it, so now they have to. Wait, I forgot my thought. But point is that they do need more seasons. But okay, I remember. And so Oda needs to take this opportunity and just basically write fan fiction of One Piece for the rest of the arcs. Like, yes, that would be cool.
He's
and I would watch.
already writing so much, dude. Chill.
He could stand to write more.
Listen, shut the fuck up, okay?
Okay.
If he works a little bit harder, he might explode.
Listen. Okay.
We do not need him to go on beyond the gates of hell or heaven.
Okay, listen. Let me retract
Heaven
a little
or
bit and explain it a bit more.
You decide.
You don't necessarily have to write it, but maybe because I saw like briefly, because I didn't want anything to be spoiled. I saw one of the producers or directors or something, like a backstage person for the series, that was like everything that was talking about how everything they did was run by Oda. And I was like, yeah, maybe he could just do that, and they give pointers and stuff and be like, hey, what would be cool? This thing. Like, he doesn't have to do it himself. He can hire people or have other people do it for them.
Yeah, but that's not gonna happen.
Why?
You know why? Because in the manga, he does everything himself. He can hire extra artists to basically draw and mimic his style, but he doesn't. He hires them for basically filler and extra shading and other things like that. He does all the major panels. He does all the characters himself. He doesn't have to, but he still does it. He is that kind of perfectionist that would go like, my art would go through my hands more than anybody else's.
This is an announcement for Mr. Ichiro Oda. Therapy is good, and it could help you relax.
He's in Japan. Japan, like, their government doesn't believe in therapy, which really, really sucks.
This is why I'm making the announcement specifically to him, David. Duh. Anyway, yeah, therapy's good, for something like that. So he doesn't have to be stressed, and doesn't have to micromanage everything, because that could get like very stressful, and we will like more content, please.
Shut up. Stop. You literally don't know what you're talking about. Quit it. You're gonna curse him.
David,
Stop.
David, I'm literally
Just go.
I'm literally
What's the next
a
thing?
mental health provider. Like, I am fully trying to do this, bro.
It's not what I mean, and you know it.
Okay, so one of the things that I really liked, and I was so happy that they included this, and it was, I don't know, like, there were some parts of the interactions between little Luffy and Shanks that I was kind of like, oh, it felt a little cold at sometimes, or like Shanks felt a little kind of like not like Shanks. I don't know. Like there was something about maybe the acting or the way he was portrayed that it kind of like felt a little remote for me at times. But that scene where he ended up giving him like the hat and all that stuff, I really love that. Like, the hat being passed down, and then the sword also being passed down to Zoro from like his best friend.
Kuina.
Yeah. And so my question to you, David, is if in the future, if you had children or an apprentice or somebody you wanted to pass down something, what would it be?
ADHD.
Bro.
No hesitation. It has plagued me for all my life. It will plague that motherfucker for the rest of theirs. Okay?
Okay, how about something cool? Something good?
I'm going to grow a very, very long nose hair and give it to them.
David! Come on, man! Be serious for like a second.
If I can impart something to a
His
apprentice,
D&D books.
a child, etc., no, it would be either curiosity or the desire to understand somebody else's perspective. Wisdom.
Okay. So, as you have noticed, as you have just heard, David moves from like very dumb, childish jokes to super serious, and there is no in between. I'm over here thinking like, hey, maybe I'll pass down my collection of like Loki figurines. That'd be cool, like pass down my love of Loki, and like David over here be like, oh, let me just impart my wisdom.
Listen, ADHD be like 0 to 100 real quick. If you can't keep up, just tell me that.
Yeah, so like I know like that there's like movies and stuff where I seen where like, oh, mothers pass down their like engagement ring or their wedding ring to their first son or whatever. I thought that was kind of cute. We don't really have that in our family, so I was like, oh, maybe that's something like a tradition that we can get started, but I don't know what I would be. What it would be. I don't really have anything that I'm like, maybe like something that I really love would be my collection of books. So maybe that like imparting like my collection of books to like someone who really loves and would appreciate them.
But also you'd have to impart something that also has like the essence of who you are as a person. So also give them like a chancla or something.
No, that's not. Okay, whatever. If it's gonna be
It's
like
just a preserved sandal.
No, it's gonna be my collection of paintings that I've commissioned of my dog dressed as Loki riding on Toothless, or like dressed as what was it, Kukulkan? No.
Kukulkan?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's like, what's the name? I always get confused with his name and the name of the city. Like but like the one kind in like in Black Panther 2, the evil villain, but he's not really an evil villain. Anyway, him. I forgot his name. Namor. Yeah, there you go. See, I could have just said that, but I didn't. I tried to be cool and say Kukulkan, but like it anyway. Yeah, so I have a really cool collection of that. Maybe I'll impart that and like my love of pets, of specifically Canelo, because Blaze can be a little. I don't know, a little annoying dog sometimes. Anyway, I would love to hear from you, like if you have something that has been passed down in like your family, or something that you would like to pass down to like an apprentice or a son or daughter. It'd be cool. Give us ideas, because obviously my ideas are not the best. So give me some cool ideas, please.
Yeah, tell us what kind of trauma your parents gave you.
David,
Isn't that what you asked for?
only in therapy. Okay, so another quote that I wanted to discuss is this one again, by Luffy. Is that I think he was quoting Shanks in this one, and where he says, "If the path to what you want seems too easy, then you're on the wrong path." And then I'm like, that's so true, because like, okay, so I have this massive ADHD/anxiety. I have like goals that I want to accomplish, and it will probably take me about like 10 years to like get all the way there. And sometimes I'm like, oh, it's just really hard, and maybe I will like scale down my dream. And then I talked to David, and then I was like, nah, I really want to do this. So it is really hard. And I think part of it is just like, do when you're like in that struggle to like accomplish your dream, is it like a struggle because you have to learn a new skill? Is it is because it's something new to you, or because you have to fight the patriarchy or something, but you're still making progress? Or is it kind of like a struggle because you really are not really into it and you're forcing yourself to do it? I think there's a difference there. And I think with the what I got from this quote was like, yeah, well, like reaching your dreams may seem hard, like at times it's still something that you fully enjoy and that you want it so bad that those hard times won't really matter in the end.
I think that quote is the quote that Zoro started taking Luffy a little bit more seriously. When he said that, before meeting Luffy, everything was really easy to him because he fought any pirate that would come his way, and it would always not even be a challenge. It'd be like fairly easy for him to just kill them and keep going. He would literally just collect them for his next meal and then just keep wandering wherever he's wandering at.
AKA get lost.
Yeah, after he found Luffy and he found a direction to go, he met Mihawk, the guy who is number one at swordsmanship. For the fact that he started following Luffy, he immediately got rewarded with a fight with the number one guy.
I think he started like once he started meeting like a bunch of like really weird, like first, like the first time they met they were just escaping from the Navy, so that was like a good fight, I guess, for him. And then like they just kept like meeting, because there was the one time where he's like, hey, is every day with you like this? Because for him, I felt like he was kind of like, oh, if I follow Luffy, I am gonna have like good opportunities to like practice my swordsmanship, because these characters that were coming across are so weird, and he kind of forced him to either think outside the box or level up his skills. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, good quote.
And the one that caught Sanji's eye and like desire to maybe follow Luffy was when Sanji said, I think Arlong came into Baratie and started terrorizing the place, and Sanji went like, "Wait, you don't even know us. Why are you doing this?" And Luffy immediately goes like, "Cause you gave us food." And to Sanji, that is one of the most, if not the most important thing a person can like cherish. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was like, I think from the beginning, like he just got really like along with Luffy, because he was like, so what do you want? And Luffy's like, one of everything. And so I was like, okay, like I dig this guy right here. And then like when he did the IOU on the receipts, and he was like, oh yeah, okay, no thank you. Like he was like really like getting into him. And yes, I agree with you, where it was that one quote where like, you just fed us. It was simple as that, right? And I wanted to like also talk about how, okay, so in the middle, like I don't know what episode we were watching, but I was like, there was like, I could sort of detect an accent for some of the characters and some of like the words that they would say. And then so I was like, I'm really curious, because again, I knew nothing of like, I kind of just knew what they looked like, but I didn't know who they were or like what their previous projects had been before in terms of entertainment. So like I just went on IMDb and I started looking them up, and then it turns out that Iñaki was born in Mexico. And I was like, oh, hey, that's so cool. And I started thinking, hey, lots of people are born in Mexico, but then are raised elsewhere, or like their parents come from different cultures that are not the Mexican culture. So I was like, there's not a lot of information, and I didn't go like that deep to dig. But if you do know, let me know, because I am curious. But so I was watching this interview with, I think it was all of them, and they were answering. It was like the crew. They were answering sort of like the 10 most asked questions on like Google or something when it came to One Piece. And one of the questions was, what is the One Piece? And the actress that played Nami was like, oh, gave the standard answer, was like, is the gold, is the treasure, or whatever, right? And then Iñaki was like, I think it's tacos, because that's like the best. And I was like, if I didn't think you were Mexican before, this confirms it, because I was like, bro, same brain cell, man. And then like
The One Piece, one giant fuck off taco.
yes. And then there was like another question where there was like, oh, what does the D stand for, right? Like one of the questions that
Dingus.
all we all have. And then they were like, oh, maybe it stands for dreams or whatever. You know, they were like, oh, we don't really know. And then Iñaki was like, maybe it stands for donuts. And I was like, bro, I can see why Sanji, like why you play the character so well, why everybody, you know, really likes the performance, and why he would just get along with all Mexicans, because food is important. And then I was like, I was planning post for a pinch of everything, right, for later in the month. And then I realized that I was like, oh, I really wanted to talk about like why we chose a pinch of everything for a podcast. And I was like, it's because regardless of the topic, we always end up talking about food, because food is the One Piece. And I was like, yes, I get it. It is a taco. The One Piece is a taco. And nobody can change my mind now.
Food is life. Life is food.
Okay, so again, I didn't really know that Garp, I said it right, was Luffy's grandpa. Dude, I still remember when Luffy was like looking through the eyepiece thingy. What's it call it? The little long glass thing. What's it called?
Spyglass?
Yeah, spyglass.
I think that's what it's called. I'm not really sure.
I think it has another name, but I can't remember. Anyway, you guys know what I mean.
Scope, telescope,
No, not telescope.
thingamajiggy.
Microscope. I don't know. Something scope.
It's not microscope. I can at least tell you that one.
It's something scope. Okay, he was
Yeah,
looking through it.
Don't do that motion.
and then he was just like, grandpa. It just like it still blows my mind. I just can't. Like, it was just for me it was a really good reveal. Like, I just anyway, so he has a really good quote. And again, I think this is kind of like where they show the parallels between Luffy and Kobe, because the grandpa was like, Kobe, you're a really good marine, and Kobe was basically what he wanted Luffy to be, but Luffy was like, yo, I'm a pirate, I want to be a marine. That's the claim.
I think he still got Luffy the way he wanted to teach Luffy. Like, I believe that Garp taught Luffy exactly what Luffy needed to learn. And that is all about freedom and having your own personal code and sticking to it.
Bro, and food, because both of them, they're like food. I love that scene where he was talking to Seth, and Seth was like, you want a free meal? I have like this really good steak. And the other guy, like, what is it, the second in command, was like, we're not here to eat. And then the grandpa was like, what are we talking about? Like, what kind of food? Like, is it good? Like, he's like, yeah, we're here to eat.
And Garp was like, wait, hold on. But that's steak, though. Okay? You said marbling? Oh.
And I just want to like emphasize, like, because since we're still like on the topic of food, I was like, part of my notes, I know it's like, okay, we're not even finished with the first page of my notes, and I know I have this in like another note later on, but I wanted to talk about how I usually convince David to do stuff, and it's food. That's how I convince him to do stuff.
Shut up. No one's supposed to know that, okay?
So if you ever want anything from David, just offer him good food and he'll be like, yeah, all right, let's do it.
I'll think about it. And then if you offer me more food, then probably, yeah.
But I mean, like, I think that's how we're similar, because we're like, you know, when like, I think when I was in living in San Diego, I got really into like traveling and stuff, and I wanted to like, I guess, pass down that to you, where like I wanted you to experience like different cultures and different places and like different foods and all of that. And
I can experience different cultures via their food, okay?
Exactly.
I don't need to go there.
No, you kind of need to, because the food is better over there. Like, you have to. But anyway, but that's kind of how I convince David to like travel. I'm like, hey, but there's really good food if we go to LA, Little Tokyo. We found this really good restaurant where they have this really good green tea, and the ramen is actually really good too. What are the little balls called? The little octopus balls? Those are good. I forget what they're called, but those are really good too. Oh man, I'm hungry now. Yeah, anyway. Wait, I didn't even say the quote. So, the grandpa, I forgot his name again. Garp. He says, he was telling, what's his face, Kobe, that something about like Kobe's experiences didn't define him. But he learned and survived, and that's sort of like the lesson that he wanted Kobe to learn. And then I was like, yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's like a bunch of quotes about like, like something along the lines, and I can't really think of anything. I'm hungry now. Like, I just want food. I just want Japanese food now. I can't stop thinking about that.
You fool. I ate before this recording. You should have done the same.
But did you have good food?
Oh, yeah, I liked it.
What is it?
It was actually pretty good. It was just Jack in the Box. I got what was it? It was one of the burgers with like 2 meats in it. But it was like beef.
I'm like over here like, yeah, tell me about your food because I'm hungry and I
Also,
want to
dude-
live through you right now.
Curly fries. Oh my god.
I'm not a curly fry kind of person.
You're a terrible person. Why do you exist?
Anyway, next point is that one scene where they're in when Nami's trying different clothes when they're in, what is it, Syrup Village.
Yep.
And the they were asked to like change, like bathe and like change, and Nami was like, oh, what do you think about this? And Luffy just kind of looks at her and was like, you look like Nami. Like, he didn't get it. And then I was like, not only is that so Luffy, but that so reminded me of you, David, because every time I was like, hey, does this match, like the color wise? And you'd be like, I don't know, like it looks fine. Like, that was always your response. And like, I would get so upset at first. And our younger brother is like the complete opposite. He would like stand there and look at you and be like, that doesn't match, or like you would look better with like a different kind of color. But he is really into like fashion and looking good, and David couldn't care less about that, as long as it's
Hey, yo, as long as I'm comfortable and covered, that's all I need.
Yeah, and it took me a while to understand that. So now I don't really ask you.
Honestly, I kind of dress like Luffy. I have like sandals, shorts, and like a shirt on. That's all I need for life. Not gonna lie.
Literally, that is what he's wearing right now. Oh, I kind of want to talk about his shoes slash sandals. I kind of liked how there were shoes because obviously it was a lot easier for the actor to move around in, but they were designed in such a way that they kind of looked like sandals. It was like really weird. I don't know. I had this really weird thing where I just kept trying to see what the shoe wear looked like. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm kind of weird. Another thing that I really, really liked is that I think Iñaki did a really good job at portraying Luffy's endless optimism throughout the whole thing. And as I was telling David, when I noticed it, I was like, but it's the kind of optimism where it's not like exaggerated. It's not like that sort of like overly optimistic kind of thing where, like, because it can be toxic. Like, to be overly positive about something can be quite toxic, but Luffy's not like that, where he's still like centered in reality, but he still has this sort of hope that things are gonna work out. And when he got gifted the merry-go and the look that he gave Nami, were like, ha, I told you. I was like, it would never happen in real life. But then I started thinking, but would it happen in real life? Because I think a lot of the times there is a lot of like societal expectations where we try to stay closed into this sort of like neat little box, and we don't step outside of that. But if we did step outside of that, I felt like we were be more aware of like the different options that we have available to ourselves, and we will kind of end up being like Luffy, where we eventually will find what we are looking for or what we need in the manner that we want. But I think we get maybe so frustrated with like just life, or we get down, like we could become really hard on ourselves, or like, life has hit us so many times that we're kind of like not even trying anymore. But I think it can become reality. Like, it's not something that is just seen in fiction. I think it could also, like, having that type of optimism can lead to a lot of great things. Maybe not necessarily having your own ship, but good things.
No, go get yourself a ship from a sick girl, and then travel the seas. Go up a mountain instead of like down it. In the ship, obviously. And then just on the next side, fight a giant whale and become its friend. Just do that.
So, okay. So I have two quotes, or maybe three quotes back to back. One of them is something that Luffy has sort of been pushing everyone to do, which is do whatever you want, don't tell anybody what to do, which is one of the first things that he told to Kobe. But then we also saw Nami tell that to Kaya later on, where she was like, it was just a very simple, like, hey, it's your birthday, you eat whatever you want, right? And that could have saved her life. Spoiler alert, because she was being poisoned. But like that notion of like just doing whatever you want, again, it can be really hard, because not only do sometimes we have those expectations where we have to fit into that neat little box, but everyone around us also has that expectation. And one thing that I really liked, eventually maybe just got used to it, but like the different hairstyles and colors, the different hair colors, and like the different outfits that were like really weird but weirdly worked with that person's personality. And I just became really upset about our own reality, because I was like, that would be so cool. Like, wouldn't it be cool like wandering around and like people were like bright orange hair, or like bright blue, bright pink, or like I've seen so many really cool videos of people doing their hair, and it's like all like different colors of the rainbow, and it looks super cool. And I'm like, that would
ADHD
be so awesome.
be like, your brown hair is boring. Make it multicolored.
No, but it's just like, it's that sort of like self-expression thing. But in our society, it's all about like, you have to be professional. Like this whole like professional culture is so dumb. I hate it again. Sorry.
Apologize to the mic.
I'm sorry, Mike. We should give it a name.
Yeah, it's Mike.
No, that's lame. Think of something better.
Michael.
Think of something better.
Mikael.
Think of something better.
Mickey.
Hey, why don't you guys tell us what our mic should be named? Yes, please give us better names than that.
Mammoth the Destroyer.
That actually kind of sounds cool.
Fat fuck.
Okay, not that one. Wait, what was I talking about? Wait, yes, be yourself. And then so one of the things that I like, once I started sort of like moving more, I guess moving up the ranks in terms of like my studies, and like being in positions where I had to, where I was told I needed to be professional. One of my coworkers, she dyed her hair. She had sort of like highlights, sort of like lighter highlights, and she dyed her hair pink, so the highlights looked pink, but the rest of her hair was still brown. And she asked our supervisors if that was professional, and they said no. But also, neither of the supervisors cared that her hair was kind of pink. So for a few months, she just had to wear her hair up in a bun, so it was less noticeable. But in my head, I was like, why does that matter? And then later on, in like another work environment, we were talking about tattoos. Like, why do tattoo matters, and why are having like face tattoos or like neck tattoos or like hand tattoos like a reason to not get employed, because it looks less professional. I just don't get it.
It's their culture. Office culture is quite literally white people culture. If it's not professional looking, or if it is out of the norm, then it doesn't belong.
I think
and that has to do a lot with a bunch of other stuff, but yeah.
So part of me also has this thing too, where like I'm starting to try to understand, or like go through the journey of like trying to understand my roots better. So now I understand sort of like the effects of colonialism in my own culture, the Mexican culture, in case you guys didn't know. We like went on this rant talking about tacos and food. I'm pretty sure everybody knew. Anyway, and then so I think this just rubs me the wrong way. Like every time somebody's like, oh, that's not professional, I was like, I don't care. And I'm like, if it's like, if my own clients don't really care about that, then that's fine. And I'm like, I want to be myself when I'm in therapy, when I'm in like a professional setting, because there will be people that want to work with me that would be like, hey, that type of personality that you have works well with me, or with what I'm looking for. And if it doesn't, there are so many other mental health professionals that you can reach out to, and it might not be a good fit for me to work with that person, right? So I'm like, I don't want to fit myself into a mold. I want to be myself. And then just to spite people, now I want to dye my hair like a bright orange or something.
You go, girl.
I probably won't do that, but if you do
Coward.
have bright orange hair, You go. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm very anxious about this, and I'm like, I really want to, but then
Why?
I
Why
don't
does it
know,
matter?
David.
You're not even working right now. Oh my god.
I don't know.
Just do it.
To my
Just
anxious
fucking do it.
brain.
Get the one where it's kind of like a spray that you spray on your hair for like a little bit and it just like washes off after
Oh,
a couple of days.
oh, that's a good idea, actually. So I can try out different looks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you are a genius.
Well, yeah,
Oh no, I
obviously.
can't believe I just said that.
That's right. Inflate that ego.
Okay, so this kind of has I think my rant about like just being yourself and office culture, professional culture, whatever. It also has to do with like the next quote that I had here. I think it's from Grandpa G, from Gigi. Not that kind of weird. Grandpa G. That sounds better.
Yeah, but in Japanese, GG's like old man.
Well, I guess he works then.
And in gamer terms, it's good game.
Okay, lots of information. I
And if you
didn't really
watched
need
a
to know.
movie called Gone Girl, well, then there it is.
How did you even have you even seen that movie, David? How do
No.
you even know about that movie?
Listen, I heard the name at some point in my life, and now it's here.
So one of the quotes that he said, oh, it was when Kobe and the grandpa were playing. Is it Go? I don't know what it's called.
I think that's what it is.
That game with like the black and white. I really want to learn how to play. I should probably
Shogi?
start.
No, I don't think it's Shogi. I think it is
That's
Go.
different. I don't know. Yeah, look it up. As I talk about this quote, so I think at first Kobe was losing, and then later on he started winning. And when he won, the grandpa was like, no, it's because you acted decisively, and that's what you need to do. And he's like, that's what pirates do, and that's what we need to do. We just need to one up them in order to capture them. And I'm like,
Yeah,
hey,
it
that's
is.
actually, is it called, what is it?
Go.
Go. It's called Go. Okay, yeah, it looks really cool. I want to learn how to play that. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, like sometimes you just have to act decisively in order to like reach your dreams, in order to just be yourself, because like David said, like I have a lot of like anxious thoughts in my head, so I stop myself from doing something that could be good for me, but I stop myself because I have so many worries. But if I acted decisively, maybe there were so many good things that could happen from that. Maybe not necessarily from like dyeing my hair like a bright different color, but now I want to try it, like just I don't know, like you guys know what I mean, right? Hopefully.
No, we don't. Oh my god, the wanted posters. Okay, so there was so many references in the wanted posters as soon as they got into the bounty board in I think it was Shellstown, where Kobe and Axan Morgan and like basically the beginning of everything started. Luffy's lamenting the fact that his face is not even in there as a wanted poster, and obviously that is upsetting for a pirate that wants to be piratey. But afterward or during that scene, you can see a couple of people's faces. You can see Alvida, you can see Buggy, kind of like foreshadowing the fact that Buggy's gonna show up in a little bit. I can't remember exactly who else was there, but it was probably a lot more Easter eggs. And the way that they did the animation for the bounty posters every time they met like one of the not mate or yeah major players, or as the story progressed, like whatever pirate is stronger or has like a fairly high bounty, their wanted poster would appear in front of them, and sometimes they would interact with the poster itself. Like when Arlong's poster came up in front of Arlong like bit it apart, like tore it up. And when it was in front of Buggy grabbed it. And no, I think like Buggy cut it. Was it?
I think most of the time they were like just cut, but whatever their
Yeah, like they
the
did.
person's
They
weapon was.
interacted with it, and I thought that was such a really cool gimmick. Or like the little thing that they did was just so good that
I
they
think it
fucking
just
did that.
kind of like again, it reminding you that this was based in an anime. It kind of sort of like reminded you that it was like all fantasy, because again, like I said, like the whole like the fantasy and the live action or like the real world thing was just so seamless. I guess to me it was that it just I don't know, it's just so cool. And I also really like how at each episode the logo of the One Piece was changed depending on who was sort of like being featured in that episode. I really liked that.
That was such a good decision on their part. It was essentially Uh, it was just their logo. It was like at some point it was Nami's logo, like little pirate flag. I think in one of the SBSs, Oda did that. He drew little what's it called? Jolly Rogers for each of the Straw Hats, and those are the ones that are featured in the episodes.
Oh, another thing that I didn't know, but David helpfully reminded me is that because I was like, hey, I really like that the characters switch outfits, but it still very much fits into their character. And they was like, yeah, that's because that's what Oda drew them. And I was like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. But it's still I really like that they did that, because one of my sort of almost kind of like pet peeves with just cartoons in general is that they're always wearing the same thing, and I'm like, just change it up every now and then, you know, ADHD brain and all. Um, yeah, but I really like the wanted posters. Um, oh, and actually, my question to you, because then that reminded me when you were talking about the wanted posters and the poses, because Luffy was like, when he was little, he was like, I even practiced my pose for my wanted poster, and he's like, "Arr," and he was like an adorable, like angry face or whatever, or scary face, but then he's like has this biggest smile in every one of his like wanted posters. And now my question to you, David, is if you had a wanted poster, what would your pose be?
Mine? Honestly, it depends if it's funny or if it's no, it mainly depends if it's funny. Um I think it's my wanted poster is going to be a straight up Where's Waldo kind of situation where it'd be like a far away shot and I'm just going to be somewhere in the crowd and like they either have to point it out themselves or you're going to have to look for me.
That reminded me of when Usopp was like, I'm famous, because the back of his head was in it. And you know what I just realized? That's exactly the same thing that Mike says from Monsters Inc., where he's all like, yeah, but like his whole face is covered by like the prize bar or whatever. And I was like, aw, you sweetheart.
But
um
at least he's there.
That's true. I think for my wanted poster, I think I would just want like a really cool, just like really cool pose of me that makes me look extra cool. That made no sense.
Wow, great description. I love the part where you said cool twice to describe no particular pose.
And it's just like let's see. I can't really think. Okay, so there is I know on TikTok there's this, I think his name is David.
Hey,
He is
what's up?
he is this really cool like photographer, I believe Korean photographer, that shows you how to like pose depending on like what you're wearing, what you're doing, or like your own personality. And like it's really cool because I never really I don't really like taking pictures because I don't know how to pose and I look really weird. And I think now that I've been working sort of like on like my own mental health and stuff, now if there's like a funny picture of me, even if it shows my double chin, I'm like, hey, that's funny, and I actually want to keep that picture. I think there's a few pictures that I've posted of myself that before would have been like, oh no, that is a horrible picture of me. Now I'm kind of like, but that's what I look like. I can't do anything about it, you know. But I would like to get better at posing.
Just
In
do what
pictures.
Nami did.
What?
She literally takes photos and submits them and like sends it to the Marines to update her bounty. Yeah,
I feel like that will be me, and I was like, hey, the picture's getting boring, we need to change it up, and just be like, hey, this background's nice, and I would just take picture of myself. Yeah, actually that's a good idea. Yeah. I think my picture would be several different poses, but the one that I am thinking of, like, you know how every superhero has kind of like their own pose, like, you know, Wonder Woman, like her fist in her hips, or like Batman with, you know, that poster, not Batman's, I meant to say Superman. Oh my gosh.
she did Superman's pose and said Batman. She had her fist raised up in the air with full confidence in that was in fact Batman.
I
Okay.
feel like such a fake geek nerd right now. Sorry.
Shame on you.
Anyway, yeah, so I would like to like try like a bunch of different poses like that, or maybe find the pose that works really well or that I think looks well for me. I mean, good for me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a pose in mind. I just, you know, every time I ask a question is because I need ideas because I don't really have an answer for these questions. So good luck. The other thing I wrote is that, like, I think especially like Zoro had a lot of good ones. Luffy had a few. The clown had a bunch. like comebacks, and I was like, hey, I'm like just me over here collecting comebacks because like I'm not very imaginative. I like this play fighting, and like my siblings and I are usually, or like my, yeah, are usually like, you know, play fighting each other. And my comeback is like, oh, shut up, because I don't have any good comebacks. And sometimes when you guys have a really good comeback, I'm like, I can't even if I did have a good comeback, I feel like we needed to end it there because your comeback was so good that it needed to be the last one said, you know, because you're so good.
Dude, all you gotta do is watch a couple more shows, and just kind of like get a little snarky with it.
But I can't remember, David. Like,
Now you don't even have to remember. You just have to have that attitude.
because like I was telling one of my siblings, I was like, yo, I want to build myself like a room in the garage or something. And then I was like super excited because like we're talking about like how much it would cost, and like if I could do an office there, whatever. Like, and then one of my siblings was like, yeah, they're basically building you a rat cage because you're a rat. And I was like, oh, that's such a good comeback. Like, I need it. And I told my parents because it was funny. Like, you know, and like sometimes I have like gold comebacks like that. Most of the time I don't. And so I'm like, hey, that's a good comeback. Like, it was the two cat pirates where the girl pirate was like, oh, just because you're twice my size but half my intelligence. And I was like, oh, genius. I love that. It's so funny. Another quote that Nami said, again, this was to Kaya. It was like, you're stronger than you think. And again, like, I think that's one of the things that Luffy just sort of like imparts to everyone, and then everyone else imparts to everyone else. Like you know, the crew imparts to other people. And I really love that. Again, the top down dynamic. Like, he's such a good. I in my head, again, I'm only a water 7, but in my head he just kind of keeps leveling up when it comes to like his captain duties. Is that correct, David, or am I just like imagining things?
Oh no, absolutely. It does take him a little bit and to understand what his duties are exactly, because right now they've been in fact just kind of playing pirate. It's a group of friends that don't necessarily have a hierarchy, but they kind of have to do what Luffy says because he's technically the captain, but at the same time he has to also learn to be responsible like a captain.
But like, okay, so I remember like there was a few instances in like the manga where Luffy was like, "Oh, I wish we could go to like," I think it was like when he wanted to go to the Sky Island, and then them is like, "You're the captain, like whatever you say," and he's like, "Oh, that's right, let's go to the clouds or like to clouds or whatever it was called, the Sky Islands."
Skype up.
Yeah, and so there's like a few moments where he kind of forgets that he's the captain, but I think at this moment, like, or what I've read of the manga so far, I don't know if I buy the crew thinks he's the captain so much as they don't really have any better idea, or they're just kind of like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, like, you know, kind of thing. I don't know.
No, in the manga, like where you are right now basically makes up one of the pivotal points, because at this point Luffy does in fact have to learn a couple of tough lessons, and by the end of it he does essentially.
I think after he had that conversation with Usopp where he was about to kick him out of the crew, and he had to make like a really hard decision to let Usopp go because that's sort of like Usopp wanted as well. And again, Zoro was like, hey, that's what it takes to be a captain. And I think after that, then I kind of like am starting to believe now that he's taking more of an active role as captain, because before he was just kind of like, yeah, like you said, there was
Just kind of passive. Yeah.
Okay, so I have this series that I because of my ADHD, a lot of things like I get bored really easily. Like when it comes to exercise, I need to like re-enchant my exercise routine, otherwise I'm gonna get bored after like 2 weeks of exercising. And I just love the fact that Usopp basically just re-enchanted his job title and made it sound really cool. And then Luffy was like, cool, what's that? And then Zoro was like, he just cleans up poop and like removes barnacles. And I was like, oh, I was with Luffy, I was like, that sounds really cool.
Immediately Usopp being one of my favorite characters, at least top 5.
That's like the number. Like, okay, whatever. We're just gonna go with that. Okay, so I was telling David that I kind of know have this theory where like Zoro has this like extra sense, like a sixth sense, where he's not necessarily lost, but he knows kind of where he's supposed to go to be there when he's needed. Because he gets lost all the time, but when he's needed, he's there. And I don't know how he does it. Because like the time where Luffy was gonna be taken by like the Navy, and then he was like, oh man, I said a lot of ums, huh? Oh my gosh, my ADHD is on steroids right now. Sorry. And then Luffy's like, Zoro, how did you find me? And Zoro's like, oh, I thought I was getting back to the house. And I was like, bro.
No, when they went for like the midnight snack, and he's like, "This place is like a maze. I have no idea where I'm going." And then Luffy's like, "No, no, no. Let's just follow my nose. I'll get us there."
I think that was when like Luffy was kind of getting the idea of like, bro, you lost? Like, is that what it is? Yeah, I really love that. Oh, you know, one of the things that I also really liked, kind of going along with Luffy questioning what it means to be a pirate, or who said that a pirate has to be scary, or that a Jolly Roger has to be like scary looking. His idea of what it is to be a pirate, because at least in this section or this arc, he's all about like freedom and adventure. And I kind of wanted to know sort of like from your perspective, David, like what does it mean to be a pirate?
From like watching the show since it's been going on.
Yeah.
Well, not since it's been going on, but you get the point.
Yeah. Because David was like one when it started coming out. So
I remember since then. Absolutely. Let me think. No, yeah, that has always been Luffy's desire. For Luffy, what means to be a pirate is whoever is the freest and whoever gets to go in the best adventures. That has always been like the core belief as for piracy.
So I feel like you've been a fan of One Piece so long that I feel like your idea of what a pirate is no longer tied to reality, but tied to
absolutely
One Piece.
not. No. For me, at this point, is do what you want because a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
Wait, but isn't that like the SpongeBob thing?
What? No, I think that I don't know where that's from. I'm not gonna lie. I just heard
But
it
I
at
feel like
some
we
point.
grew up with that.
No, we didn't. I didn't. You probably. I don't know where that came from.
I feel like you said that a lot. And
Yeah,
feel
I
like
say that a lot because I don't know where it came from. I just know the jingle.
Yeah, so like I don't know. Because I've been watching a lot of like YouTube videos where they talk about like real life pirates, and I'm like, actually, like I kind of agree with Luffy, because a lot of them, they were kind of like, hey, they were like I guess privateers before, or they were actually hired by like a different country to go and raid like a different country's like ships.
Yeah, those are privateers.
Yeah, and then so eventually when the countries were no longer employing them, they were like, well, we gotta keep on living, so I guess we just gotta keep on plundering. And yeah, like, yeah, I don't know, like I've always, my idea of like being a pirate has always also been tied to the idea of adventure. Like, you know, following the clues and finding the treasure.
Indiana Jones, but in the water.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I actually never really seen Indiana Jones.
I've never fully seen Indiana Jones. I've only partially seen the movies.
But you know which ones I really like? National Treasure I really liked, and the original like the Mummies movies. Those were like clues, and like the Book of the Dead. And, like, oh, those are my favorite. Yeah, so like, yeah, it was all about that. But you know what's like so sad? Like, I'm super into like, you know, pirates are cool. And then when I work with kids, I'm like, yeah, you want to play being a pirate? And they're like, pirates. And I'm like, but pirates are cool. You don't understand.
In the battle of ninja versus pirates, I can firmly say absolutely pirates.
I just wanted to say,
or ninja pirates.
Even better. Because I don't know, like I feel like maybe it's just me, but Zoro to me would be like kind of like a ninja pirate.
He's a samurai pirate. Get it right. Come on.
Close enough.
Not even close. What's wrong with no? Dude, you're gonna start like fucking civil wars in the comments.
Am I though?
Yeah, if we get enough attention.
You're like, if people watch this, you will start World War III in the comments. If nobody watches, it's just the two of us, so it doesn't matter.
No, it's gonna be just a bunch of weebs thinking they're right, like me.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, okay, so I think I had a debate with you in the previous arc, what is it, Water 7, where I was kind of like, I don't really understand why like Usopp is so mad about the Going Merry like no longer being a functioning ship. And then after this, I feel like this series fill in a lot of the gaps for me. Maybe because I just started this, like, just started reading the manga, and a lot of things are not as clear to me because maybe I'm missing a lot of details. But I was like, oh, I can understand why like Usopp is so attached to the Mary now.
Yeah.
And also, it's a really nice ship. Like, the inside is so big. I did not expect a ship to be that big. Even the rooms were like so big. The kitchen, so nice. Like, no wonder Sanji was like, yeah, I'll go with you. It was a nice kitchen. Our kitchen sucks compared to that.
It's because you don't kitchen.
Because we're not rich.
No, you're not a cook.
And that too.
So you're not gonna take care of the kitchen like at all whatsoever. You take care of your bed well.
Well, okay.
Because you're on it all the fucking time.
We're like at the end of my second page of notes, and I finally got to Luffy's grandpa is the one who captured Goldie Roger. What WTF? It was spoiled for me.
Right in the beginning, you see Garp right there, right next to Roger himself.
Oh, okay. You remember that scene where like everyone was like super worried for Luffy because his grandpa just attacked him, and his grandpa is like very high ranking like Navy officer, and they send Zoro out to talk to him, and he said like, yo, you worried about that? And he said like, no, and he said like, yeah, good talk. He's like, yeah,
He's like, all right, good talk. Yeah, because Zoro, he's very forward. He's like, hey, here's the question, and then Luffy is also just as forward, so he'll go like, here's the answer, and then immediately go like, all right, that's it, that's all we need. There's quite literally, it doesn't bother him, so why should it bother us?
But I think at this point, like, it's still so early on in their sort of like getting to know each other and the relationship, but I think Zoro already understands that Luffy says what he means. So if he was worried, he would have said it.
Mm-hmm.
So Zoro's
they wouldn't even have to ask him. Like, he would himself bring it up if it bothered him. Mm-hmm. If it didn't, then it's whatever. And I like Zoro's response. He's like, yeah, but we're pirates. You understand that, right? Like, we are enemies of the Navy by nature, and we are going to fight admirals and like beyond that.
So we're getting to the part where I started writing down a whole bunch of notes about, Sanji's arc, basically. And now I'm really hungry, you guys. I really enjoy the fact that there was no curly eyebrow for Sanji. I really like that. And his outfits were so nice. I mean, like, that's a reason why he's kind of like my favorite character at this point. Zoro's kind of climbing up the ranks, but we're not done talking about that because then David's gonna get a big head. But one of my favorite jokes that Sanji makes...
the best!
One of my favorite jokes that Sanji makes is when they're in I think it's on the Little Garden Island, where he finds, like, he gets separated from everyone else, and he...
Jesus Christ. Restaurant like crap was funny once.
No!
Okay?
No! It
was
funniest
funny
thing.
once. And then you had to repeat it 85,000 times.
It is
it
the
stopped
funniest.
being funny.
No,
okay?
no, it isn't.
The golden rule for comedy is in threes. You go beyond that, it's fucking stupid. Stop it. Right now.
It's still funny to me. I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, so, like, I really like... I don't know, it probably wasn't a nod, but, like, when Sanji, like, greets him, he's like, yeah, welcome to this, like, crap restaurant. And I was just, I don't know. It was hilarious to me. And I loved it.
Oregano's for savages. That's the one thing that Sanji said that I'm like,
I was like, okay, so I was fighting with David, and I was like, wait, and I was like, more like 95% of like Mexican cuisine apparently is for savages, and I was like, wait, why doesn't Sanji like?
Wait, do we put a lot of oregano?
A lot of the really good food has oregano in it. Yeah.
Tacos has oregano?
Well, not really tacos, but like if you're
Well
talking
then.
about like the soups and stuff,
Oh
they
yeah,
have
that's
corn
true.
syrup in it,
Yeah.
or like some of the sauces, like to make it better, like they have oregano in it.
Yeah, you got me there.
Yeah, and then I was like, I think it was at the time where I was like,
When he first met Zeph as a kid,
he's like,
and then
oh,
the
and then
guy,
die.
the Zeph like takes out his little thing of oregano and starts like pouring it, and he's like, oh, it needs a little bit of oregano, and then Sanji's like, oh hell nah.
I love the fact that he had like this instead of bullets, he had like a
He
bunch
had
of
a
spices.
bandolier of spices. Yeah,
That was great. I love that.
I like the word bandolier.
I like the word dilapidated.
Dilapidated.
It's just so fun to say. Yeah, like yeah. So I really like that. I really like the relationship, or like how they portray the relationship with Steph and Sanji, where they were like, "Yeah, you're an old man," and he was just kind of like mouthing off, and then like Steph didn't really care, but that was their relationship. Oh my gosh, David, it made me go. Okay, so I was trying not to cry because I knew it was coming. I knew the whole scene with like the leg eating and cutting off was coming. And I was like, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry because I would cry when they read the manga. I'm not going to cry. And I was like, I'm not really watching and I'm just writing notes for myself about something cool I want to
Yeah,
talk
like in the
about.
anime, it was like, oh no, he cut his leg to save Sanji. But in here and in the manga and on this, now he straight up ate his leg. There is no two ways about. He fucking did that.
I like that. I like that they include that. I like that they included the fact that Zoro like cut the guy in half and it actually looked cool. Not like super gross, but the CGI was like so good. I was like
They
satisfying.
even dropped the name Baroque Works.
Yeah, I like that. I think I like the fact that I actually got the reference. I felt like all cool and I was like, yeah, I'm part of this fan because I know what that is. What was the other thing? Yeah, so I was trying not to cry, but you know what scene made me cry? That goodbye scene when Sanji was saying thank you to Seth, and Seth was like, being like, oh, take care of yourself. It wasn't as, I don't know what the correct word.
Impactful.
Yes, because I think it was partly is because I really wanted to see all the other pirate chefs like like fighting for their, because in this one it didn't really feel like they were fighting to keep the restaurant open or like from being completely destroyed, and in the manga it was this massive battle. And then so like at the end I didn't think he was gonna get me like the goodbye, but then Sanji started talking and I was like, oh my god, and I started tearing up. Did you cry? I saw you crying.
Oh, I cried so many times because like it immediately reminded me of the times in the manga where I read it and when I watched it in the anime, and all of that together. I was like, nope, here comes the waterworks, and the water works.
And that was kind of one of the complaints sort of that I had about some of the reviews that I saw, because there was a lot of that. They're like, oh, it wasn't the same as when I first saw like read in the comics. And I was like, because you were in a different spot in your life and a different like spot in the fandom when you first read it or when you first watched the anime, and then now it's completely different. So you can't like compare those experiences. I really like what you said, where like it was an impactful way for me to find out who Luffy's grandpa was, and it was differently than the way it was for you, but it was still impactful and you were okay with that. And I'm like, exactly, that's how it happens for like everyone, as long as it still had the oomph, it was still good. Like I really liked in the manga that there were like so many like chefs that work there that were saying good, like their last goodbyes to Sanji after saving the restaurant. And in this one there was like 5 of them only, and they didn't really interact. They're just sort of in the background, but it still got to me. It still had that oomph, and I was like, okay, respect. I still like it.
Yeah, they did a really good job during the it's really hard to explain it because what they ended up doing is mixing reality with fiction, as you've mentioned before, in such a way that it works. It isn't like too over the top where you just like it becomes a total cartoon, but it's over the top enough. And these moments where are supposed to and are meant to be impactful, they still are, because even considering all the restraints that they had, one of the things that part of Nami's backstory that I liked is I can't remember his name, but it's the guy that has
Oh,
the
the
pinwheel.
captain? Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah. No, he was kind of like the chief, I
yeah,
guess.
he's like the mayor of the town.
Yeah.
The pinwheel guy. The reason why he has a pinwheel on his hat to begin with is because it made Nami laugh. Because prior to that, she was scared of him, and that's why he would have that pinwheel. Another part of her backstory is the fact that her entire town knew that she was going through hell in order to buy her town,
Dude, that
and then
scene,
that got me.
bro, that scene when the like all the villagers were like putting like a little bit of coins in the little like
The
chest,
lockbox.
it got me like that. I started tearing up because it just seemed like I could feel everyone's desperation of like, we want to survive, but this is really hard. I freaking loved it. And Nami's Luffy help me burst into tears. I don't know words.
It was so good. It was really good. And the fact that the actress like had a shaky voice.
When she said help me, like I couldn't. I was like, her voice was breaking. I was like, I don't know how she did it, but props to you.
It's like
Awesome
she's
acting.
good. It's like she's good at doing what she does.
I know. I loved it. Wait, back to Sanji. Again, I feel like I've been way too long in this fandom now. So when I saw Mihawk like air slice the ship in half with his giant sword, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I didn't even question it. I was like, wait, how? I was just kind of like, yeah, that is awesome, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, he's number one in swordsmanship, so that means he can do that. Just yeah, absolutely.
So okay, there was two quotes that I wanted to say, sort of like back to back. And one of them is the thing that Luffy says to Sanji when Luffy's like, oh, you should come and you're a cook. And then Sanji's like, nah, but I have a job. Like, no thanks, you know? But then Luffy's like, but you're not happy here, right? And then immediately, the other quote that I want to talk about is, oh no, I found it. It's Steph. He says, it's one thing to have a dream and it's another to chase after it. And I think those quotes are like really the ones that solidified Sanji's decision to leave, I think, because yeah, he obviously he owed his life to Steph, because Steph ate his own leg.
Yeah, he ate his own leg, dude.
I still can't believe that, but it's so good. I can't even talk because I just have emotions and I don't know how to express them enough to get my point across. I just really love this arc.
Have you tried ExpressVPN? I heard that they help you express.
So the next few episodes is just gonna be me because David. Anyway,
Hashtag not sponsored.
we're not sponsored by anybody.
Yeah, that's why I said not sponsored. Come on, man, keep up.
Yeah, so like, I think those. I don't know, like.
Good job.
Yes,
Good job.
exactly.
Yes.
Those
I
were,
feel what you're trying to say. I don't get it, but
you
sure,
feel it, right?
Sure,
like it's
sure.
just heart to heart.
Yeah,
That's,
absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Good
Anyway,
thing, good thing physical media translates to podcasts.
so well. Okay.
Physical actions.
So I really
Yeah,
like these
physical
two
actions.
quotes, and I mean, Sanji's backstory is by far my favorite. The other ones are impactful. I really like them and all, but just Sanji's I think is maybe how much Sanji values food, and like food is very important in our family, in our culture, just in general. And again, I totally believe the One Piece is a huge ass taco. I will fight you on that.
You are gonna die in the lowest hill I can think of. It's almost a valley.
It's a taco. I'm pretty sure.
No, you're not.
Like 99.9% sure it's a taco.
That 0.9.1%, your face.
Yeah, so I think one of the critiques that I heard about Sanji's arc is that they didn't really buy how Sanji bonded with Luffy, and I'm like, I saw it like from the very beginning, like, you know, when Luffy was like, give me one of everything, and he's like, all right, he clearly enjoys food. And then that quote when he was like, you just fed us, like we shared food, like that's Well, it was,
And the fact that he ate that one dish that Sanji made when they
and
introduced him,
praised him for
yeah,
it.
and he was like, "Dude, it was really good," and I just couldn't stop. I ate it all.
Yeah, and like, yeah, definitely the bonding. I think for Sanji, the bonding with Luffy was a lot more subtle than it was for the other crew members. Basically, because Usopp basically got kidnapped by that crew. They were like, "You're one of us. You don't have a choice. Let's go." And he's all like, "Okay, I guess." But for Sanji and Luffy, it was a lot subtle. But I don't know. I felt like the connection was there from the very beginning. And so I buy it. I believe it. You know that one drinking game that Zoro and Nami end up having?
Yeah.
It's like genius because even if Zoro got okay, so that I think if I remember this correctly, the drinking game was that if Zoro was like, Nami, I know everything about people like you. And then Nami was like, no, you don't. And then so the game was for Zoro to say something, and if he was wrong, he had to take a drink. But clearly he was drinking already, and he loves drinking. So even if he was wrong, it was a win-win situation for him because he had that whole thing of where he was like, you grew up in a city and blah blah blah, and he was dead wrong. And Nami was like, yeah, you're wrong. And he's like, oh yeah, how am I wrong? And then she actually like opened up, which I'm pretty sure was his goal, but it was such a genius roundabout way of doing it, and he still had like a win-win situation. And I was like, again, I'm starting to appreciate him as a character. Dang it.
Damn Skippy, you are.
Okay, so one of the things that I noticed is that there is this kind of like an ongoing trend with a lot of the crew members where they had sort of a somebody they looked up to that they are following on their footsteps. Like for example, Seth for Sanji, and Mihawk for Zoro, and kind of like his friend as well, and Shanks for Luffy. And I forgot the friend, Chopper's friend. He was a doctor, but he's kind of also following in those footsteps. And I was kind of curious if you know that if Nami, because I felt like Nami kind of had her own dream. Like she didn't really have like a person she looked up to.
Yeah,
Did
it
she?
was her mom. She looked up to her mom.
And I'm sorry, what I'm trying to say is like looking up to in terms of like your career goals.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I don't think she did. She was kind of like just doing her own thing.
Right, yeah.
And she doesn't really follow anybody else besides her own desire to map the entire world.
Yeah, I thought that was like really cool, and it kind of sort of reminded me because one time somebody asked me like if I had like role models, and I was like, not really, because there's not a lot of like famous Mexican women out there that I was aware of or that I could really identify with. So I was like, I don't really have a role model growing up. Of course, like I look up to my parents, but those are kind of like certain the way that not it's not related to like my chosen professional career. So I felt like a little bit like Nami, where I just kind of like thought this was cool and I kind of followed that along, but I don't really have somebody I looked up to.
I believe that the best role model that you and anyone can look up to, like regardless of your background or where you were born, who you are, etc., it's the person you want to be in the future. So yourself. Your idealized self should be your own role model because you are following literally under your own footsteps. But not only that, you are learning what you need to learn to get to where you want to be. And you also have to go through whatever challenges and chase that invisible back that will eventually be you.
David, I'm the oldest. I'm supposed to be the wisest. Can you not one up me every single time? Ugh.
Those that seek wisdom must ask the deeper questions.
But why? Is that the question? But why?
No. Why is not a good question. What is a good question?
What are we gonna eat? Is that a good
Food.
question? Anyway, yeah, I really like your analysis on that, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. And now I'm gonna make a note for myself. Talk about something.
Okay, so Mega Bloks, right? Why? Like, did babies... Here's the thing. Legos are small, obviously, so tiny little baby hands can grab them and, manipulate them to whatever. But like Mega Blocks, those things are fucking huge. Like, what kind of Andre the Giant ass motherfucker is gonna use them to build a car? You know. Just ignore the fact that babies can swallow Legos and just die. I'm just gonna cut all that.
Of course.
Or am I?
Okay. Now that I wrote my note, I also this is kind of like a continuation of what we were talking about, because we were talking about like dreams and stuff. And there is one quote or like an instance where Nami yells at Luffy and she said like, "We outgrow our dreams," and then Luffy's like, he has this thing where he's very like focused and earnest, and all his attention is on you, and then he just goes, "Why?" And then you're like, "Huh, you have a point." See, David, why is a good question? Huh, in your face.
Yeah, but what's better?
Anyway, so I really like that quote, because I think we maybe as adults, or the more we understand how the world works, the more we become disillusioned, and like the less we have hope in humanity, kind of thing. But again, why? Like, there are so many like good people out there doing good things, and amazing things happening, but we're always like, most of the time, like concerned about what we're supposed to be doing because society says, right? Which really sucks. Okay, so I was not aware that a large percentage of the fandom shipped Sanji and Zoro. But after watching this show, I am one of them.
Please don't.
Why? But they were so cute. Like, it's just like their banter back and forth. I really like it.
They are brothers, not brother fuckers, okay? They act more like siblings more than anything else.
Skip and a hop away.
Not even close. No, stop it.
I can believe it. It's fine. Again, I just wanted to again mention the fact that I thought it was hilarious how both Luffy and his grandpa can be bought with food. I just thought that was funny.
Haven't you seen him topple an entire government?
No, because I'm not there yet.
Because he ate some. You haven't seen Alabasta?
Who? Luffy? Who are we talking about?
Yeah, Luffy.
Oh. No, I kind of meant his grandpa. Like, I just thought it was funny how that was the one thing, or one of the things that he got from his grandpa.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, the fact that they could both be, like, they love meat and they could be bought with food.
They can and will be bought with food.
Oh, Mr. Genso? I think that's the name of the chief guy. Or the
Pinwheel
mayor.
guy.
Yeah. He had a quote that said, "You're not a bad kid, Nami. You just did a bad thing." And I cannot get enough of that, because I can go off on like a huge rant about this, because we have so many people believing that kids are not naughty because they choose to, when in reality is because their parents work 2 jobs and don't pay them enough attention. So being the class clown is how they get attention, even if it's negative attention. Sometimes it's because of ADHD. Sometimes it's because of autism. Sometimes it's because of another unidentified mental health condition. Sometimes it's because nutrition at home is not what it should be for a child. Like, or maybe the child's family is going through something and there's not enough sleep happening for the child. But there is always this assumption, oh, you do something bad, you're a bad person. Immediately.
Hate isn't natural, but it is taught.
And hence why I can go on a rant, David. You don't understand. Like, I love this. And if there is anything you can get out of this like series, look at these cool people and remind yourself of it. You might have done something bad, but that does not mean you're a bad person. You can still grow from that. You can still become the person your own role model. You can still become that person. Don't let all the lies that your anxious brain or depressed brain is trying to tell you, come into reality. Nah, be a different kind of pirate.
Yeah, fuck the government.
Okay, question for you, David.
Hey, yo, what's up?
The outfits here, I felt like all of them were on point. They were so cool, and I loved them all. What outfit or piece of the outfit or the ensemble would you like to wear? Like from what we saw in the series.
The tricorn hat that Usopp wore. And also the jacket that he put on along with it.
I didn't know that what the name of the hat.
Or is that a bicorn hat?
I don't know.
I don't remember. If it has 3 points, then it's tricorn because try 3, and bicorn is 2 bi.
That hat.
Yeah, the Usopp's hat during the Baratie bit, and also his jacket because that is so piratey. I fucking love it.
You know that I don't even know the character. I think he was one of the clowns that had like 2 little like colitas that were like just pointing up straight. My hair is really short right now.
That was one of the fishmen.
Was the fishman? Oh yeah, it was. I want to try the hairstyles so bad because he was so funny. But I really like the cape that Garp wore because it was not too long and it wasn't square. It was kind of like oval shaped in the back, and it just looked really cool, and I digged it. So I will wear that. What would you wear? Tell us in the comments because there were so many like really cool. You know that thing too? I don't know what it is, but Zoro wears this thing around his waist.
A sash?
It's just a sash?
I think so, yeah.
Like just for the looks of it, or to hold his
obviously.
swords?
No, for the swords bit, there
like
is
a
already
leather
like a
thing,
leather
right?
thing, yeah, like a leather strap that he can hoist or holster his swords on. But the sash just fits his style.
You know how earlier, like just 2 seconds ago, you were like, F the government?
Yeah.
That conversation that Seth and Grandpa G had about how it was the time for the new generation, and then Grandpa was like hell, and I was like, I think a lot of people in positions of power have that mentality, and I think it would be good to have that understanding that society will benefit from a lot of changes, and it's the time for the new generations to shine and to grow and chase their dreams and change the government and change society from their perspective. So I really like that they had that conversation. And also, I think I forgot to say that I really liked the restaurants. It was fancy and cool, but still piratey. It was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah, Baratie was such a good set.
It was.
And they used it as often as they could because let's be honest, it
cool.
looks good. And also Kaya's mansion. Kaya's mansion, although some rooms were a bit goofy with like literal plates all over the walls and the ceiling and all of that, I thought that was like dumb, but it was hilarious dumb. So I loved it. Kaya's mansion is a good set, and so is Baratie. I should probably stop saying so much.
Well, I've been saying a lot, so it's okay. Stop it. Okay, so I kind of like ADHD brain, so I had a lot of like comments here. But back to Seth, the conversation between Seth and the grandpa. I think Seth then later tells him, you have to know when to let him go. And again, and change is coming. That is like, again, so powerful because it's also very realistic in terms of like, no matter what, like if you are an older sibling, if you're a parent, there are times where you have to learn to let the other person go, right? Or even if it's a romantic relationship, because it will create so many more unnecessary complications if you want to force things to stay the same. There were so many changes that happened because of COVID that some of them were good. Like, for example, in my own field of expertise, I say expertise like I actually know, like in my field of training. And
you do know.
Yes, but I don't know. Expertise is kind of like this thing where like I've been working in the field for 10 years, which I've not.
But you've studied for like 30.
That's a little different. I've been in school for like forever. But yeah, so in like I guess my chosen profession in psychology, we are not able to do telehealth or do therapy via like video or phone, and the insurance companies will cover that. In the past, that wasn't possible, but because of COVID, now it's possible, and we really like that. There are a lot of things also that happen that are not so great. The economy, a lot of people lost their jobs, their homes, lots of bad things, their lives. A lot of bad things happen because of that. But I think we also need to be aware that there, while we might want to keep some traditions alive for as long as we can, we it might not be possible because change happens, right? Like there are so many like nostalgia of like what the Mexican culture was back when I was a kid compared to what it is now, and I'm like, oh, I wish we still had those traditions. But at the same time, there's so many good changes happening that I'm kind of like, it happens, like there's so many, like, because I think that's a reason, or part of the reason why humans have been able to survive and be at the top of the food chain, because we're constantly innovating and changing. Otherwise, if you don't change, you're going to get left behind and you're not going to be able to progress and continue on anymore. And so I really like that quote, change is coming. Oh, and now talking to about Nami and the sister was so pretty. Like I really like the actress, and her hair. Like it just really matched. And Nami's hair, I really like that. Anyway, there was a situation. I think it was when the sister was confronting Nami about burying the money or the treasure next to their mother's grave. And Nami's like, no, you don't understand. And I have seen so many / read so many stories in which they're like, I don't care what you say, I saw you do it and you're just gonna lie. And then the conversation ends and then the miscommunication happens. But Nami's sister was like, then make me understand. And I was like, you go, girl, communication is important. And yes, let the other person have an opportunity to talk. And then that prevented so much miscommunication. So yeah, I loved it. Dig it. She's cool.
Yeah, Nojiko's the boss.
And what's her name again?
Nojiko, I think.
Oh, okay. I've been ranting so much. David, say something about the series that you liked.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
David, with lots of detail, rant about something. Come on.
Dude, it's very cool. Huh? I think I already said everything that I wanted to say when it comes to this series. One of the things that I want to keep hammering home is essentially that this is this series, the Netflix one, is a mixture of for new people and as well as references, because it is not a full-on like one-to-one adaptation, obviously, because the East Blue saga would have taken like a couple seasons to begin with, but it did do what it wanted to do. It got the basics of the story and adapted it to the media that it was working with, that it has to work with, which is obviously live action and everything that has to do with that. So all the constraints that come in with live action, so on and so forth. But to get down to it, it is something a little bit for everybody, and it's not meant to be wholly for one type of group of people. It is meant for new people that are interested maybe on the live action only, and if that gets them to read or watch One Piece, then absolutely, it's fantastic. But if it's like old guard coming in and just nitpicking everything just because it's not exactly what they want, fuck off, dude. Like, this isn't just for you. It is meant to share. So enjoy it. Enjoy it for what it is, and then let others enjoy the things that maybe you don't necessarily like, but still,
Okay, so I have one more comment of something that I really like about the series, and then one more rant, and then we can end this because we already hit the 2 hour mark, and I'm really hungry, and my throat's starting to hurt, and it's so dry. And even though I've been drinking tea, because I've been talking so much. Anyway, so one of the things I'm so glad that they included at the end is that conversation between Mihawk and Shanks. Yes, because
I love Shank's joke.
Oh, yeah. The I can fight you with one hand behind my back. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm really happy that they included that because that was one of my favorite things. And now I'm like, I've been reading so many chapters, and it's been so long since I actually last saw Shanks. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, that's one of my favorite things. They included it. I loved it. All right, and now we're moving on to my rant. Okay. Let's see. So you kind of already mentioned this. You said that the grandpa did raise Luffy kind of how he wanted it to have sort of like to stand by and have the code, like a code, right?
Yeah.
Of like freedom and
his
adventure
personal
and stuff.
pirate code, as well as the desire to be free.
Yes. And so that reminded me that in psychology we have this thing that we call values that are very, very important, because if you're not living according to your values, a lot of the times you start to experience anxiety or depression, and you might not really understand why it's happening. So let me backtrack a little bit. So when we talk about values, is sort of like your own pirate code, right? What is the one code that you live by? Is it justice? Is it fairness? Is it education? Is it seeking knowledge? What is it? Is it family? Wherever, there's so many different ways, and one of them is not necessarily better than the other, or one is not wrong or right. It's just, what is it that you value the most in life? And then you have to ask yourself, are you living according to your values? So let's say one of your values, let's take Luffy's example. Luffy as an example. Let's say Luffy was living his life, and he had a job, and he had a family, and he was responsible, and he was doing everything that a good father and husband and employee is supposed to do. Great person all around, but he is not living according to his code or value of freedom. And so he's probably going to be miserable if he's not traveling around, if he's not doing fun things that he wants to, if he's not having adventures out there, even if he takes his home. Because you don't necessarily, your family doesn't have to constrain you or be baggage, right? You can just be sort of like a nomadic family that moves around a lot, which is totally fine if that's your lifestyle and something that you really enjoy. That's fine. But compare the two situations. Like, one, and we can clearly see, like, the show and the movies and the series, like everything, right? Like, Luffy's really happy all the time because he's living according to his code, according to his values, right? And if he wasn't doing any of that, he'd probably be miserable. And like, one of the things too, like I think there was a conversation, I think it was Nami and Luffy, where Nami was like, can you sit still? Oh, when she was trying to open the safe. And then Luffy's like, oh, it's really hard to sit still. Right? And then he laid his head on top of her. So it was so cute. Anyway, but yeah, he's kind of like this happy person that wants to go adventuring and be doing something all the time. And if he's not, he has a hard time doing it. So imagine yourself not living according to your values, according to freedom, or according to justice. Like, that will make your life so much harder to live just day by day. So yeah, take a few moments today or tomorrow or whenever. Write a note to yourself if you don't have time right now. But like, think about what's your code. Then ask yourself, am I living according to my code? Rant over.
Subscribe and follow for part 2.
No, there's not going to be part 2. I have no more rants. Actually, I have a lot of rants, but
You also have like 2 more pages.
No, I'm done.
Oh, we already went through 4 and 5?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Actually, no, it's because
You liar.
It's because we jumped around. We were just like, we didn't stay on topic, David. You were just like, hey, we're gonna do episode 1, and then you jumped to like episode 8, and then I was like, oh, whatever, and I just follow along.
Listen, if I'm gonna set a rule, I might as well be the first to break it.
Just one thing that I wanted to mention, because again, when I was watching that interview with like the cast, one of the questions that they were asked to answer was, why is One Piece so popular? And Sora's actor was like, it's like saying, why is the Bible so popular? And I was like, whoa. I was like, is it? Is he right?
Yeah.
I just thought it was hilarious. And now I am going to eat some delicious food that David is going to make me.
Lies and BS. I already ate, therefore I have no reason to make food.
All right, he can go buy me some food.
With her money.
Wait, stop interrupting me. I lost my train of thought.
Quit making it so I interrupt you.
Well, stop interrupting me. I'm gonna go eat some delicious food, and I'm gonna just go watch more interviews that the cast did, because I am completely obsessed with this series now, and I want to know everything about it. And if you are interested in more of our rants or opinions on the series, like I said, David and I are doing arc by arc as I read them. I think it's just the first one we did a saga instead of arc by arc, but everything after that, it was arc by arc. Or it will be arc by arc, so you can check those videos. We're also doing an Avatar one where we're doing episode by episode, and as I can't help myself, but I always talk about mental health. Whenever I notice something, I talk about quotes all the time, talk about all the funny moments that I enjoy. So if you would like to geek out with us, check out our other videos. You can also check out my website, psychologyforgeeks.com, and my social media, psych at the number 4 geeks. And yeah, thank you for listening to us, and share with other people so we can all like geek out together, because so far it's been like a really great adventure for me to join this fandom, because so many people are like commenting on our videos and like actually like wanting to interact, and I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted, because I just have David. None of my other friends
Hey,
really
yo,
watch
what the
One Piece.
fuck?
I mean, you're great and all, but you know, other people will
Damn,
be awesome
Skippy.
too. The more the merrier. So yeah, thank you so much, and don't for listening to us today rant about how much we love this series, and don't forget to reframe and re-enchant your life.